welcome back to my channel and my mom's channel.
Hey good people.
Just like I told you guys, we were going to be doing this playlist for you, bringing you all the information about buying a home, selling a home, all that good stuff. So today we're going to be covering buying a new build versus buying a resale home. There's a lot that goes into it, wouldn't you say?
A lot. But you know what? We're going to give you all that information.
All right.
Yeah, like a lot. Sorry guys, my name is Luna. You go to my channel right now. If you could see my video, then
yes, we're gonna have her videos too. So you get us 3
today.
Yeah, today.
Let's get started.
Okay. So we got our list right here, the morning list.
So welcome back.
All right. Anyways. So, what is a new build or new construction home? What would you define it as?
I would define a new build or new construction home being probably for a first-time home buyer or new home buyer, being able to get a home that they know that more than likely going to be worry-free for a while.
You're buying from the builder. It's in the name. It's a new build. So it's built that year that you buy it. You also, instead of a listing agent, you have a sales agent.
So the sales agent works for the builder, and obviously we represent you, the buyer.
Exactly. So they have your best interest, or they have the builder's best interest, you know, and then we have your best interest. Anyways, so when you are deciding to buy a new build, you can choose the floor plan. Sometimes you can choose the finishes, depends on the builder and at what point they are in the process. So if they are already kind of a quick move-in, then you're pretty much just choosing the floor plan.
Yeah, you're pretty much just choosing what they've already put in there.
And if you really wanted to, you can start from scratch from some builders, but most builders, especially out here right now, are selling quick move-ins because people are wanting to buy right now.
And a lot of new builds, what I've also learned today, so even though some new builds look like a cookie cutter home, what they call spec homes, found out today that a lot of them will go ahead and produce a few for buyers that will already have the highest of the highest quality, or the top picks, like your cabinets, your granite, things like that. So that's really nice to know that you can purchase one that already has those high quality ends in there, since you're not able to go like to a showroom and pick things out.
Right, yeah. So with that being said, what's a resale? A resale is a home that's already been built. It could have been built back in the 1970s, or
an existing home.
Or it could have been built just last year and somebody's reselling it. It's in the name. And there are pretty much different pros and cons, I think, when it comes to buying either or. But we're going to jump into that. So the first thing first that we're going to discuss is, what are the pros when buying a new build? Because you'll come across a lot of people who might tell you, don't even like, oh, I don't like that builder. Oh, I don't want a cookie cutter home like you mentioned. Or, oh, I don't want a new build. I heard they have so many issues. But realistically, any home will have issues. It doesn't matter what you're buying.
Exactly. And what I also feel with the new build, though, especially if you have a good realtor representing you, you know, buying a new build, you have those extra set of eyes from your realtor when you're going through the home, doing walkthroughs, making sure that builders have done what they are supposed to do with that home. Because without a buyer's representation, you might miss out on things.
And that brings me
a lot of incentives. And
that's what I was just about to say. That brings me to incentives. So first we're going to cover new build incentives and their drawbacks, and then resale incentives and their drawbacks. So first things first, almost always, or at least since even when I was buying my first home, the builder, if you use their lender, gives you some kind of credit towards closing costs. Now they've gotten pretty creative with interest rates going up high, where they not only provide closing costs, but they even buy down your rate. So I think this is something that's perfect for first-time home buyers because it saves you money.
And those buy down rates are locked in for your 30 years. Like, you're not going to have that special interest rate that's going to last you for the first couple of years. But a lot of the buy downs, your first year is lower, then it goes up your second year, and then by the time the third year comes, you're locked in.
Well, if you're doing the 2-1 buy down.
Yeah. And a lot of them are doing those 2-1 buy downs.
Yeah. But if you're doing, sometimes they just buy it down.
Yeah, sometimes they'll buy it down.
Below market rate.
Yeah.
And then with that, you also get a new home. Nobody's ever lived in it. It's yours. It's start fresh. It's a whole new canvas. Another incentive would be most of the things in the home including itself, is under warranty. If you purchase one with appliances, all you have to do is just call the appliance company, put it under warranty. The home is under warranty. But
make sure you put those warranties on.
Yeah,
you have to call within a certain amount of time.
Yeah, 30 days I think they give.
And your walkthrough tells you that too, though. But yes, but make sure you do it.
That's nice because in a resale you would have to get a home warranty.
Exactly.
To cover that.
Exactly.
And then any issues that you may have with the home are usually fixed within the first year, so you get that whole year to really identify anything that's wrong, whether it be drywall, paint, plumbing issue. You get that, and they are on call.
And this is a good point and good advice too for a buyer when they are buying a new home. I don't know if you were going to touch on it, but I thought about this. A lot of people don't know to get a home inspection on a new home. So I always been here lately on my clients for new builds, get it done before closing, and then also do one before your year is up under those warranties, because there may be things that may have happened within that year of your home that you don't know about, and then you can present it when before that warranty comes up, because the builders, they also come back in to repair things that may have cracked or whatever the case may be, do the home inspection.
Yeah, and now I was going to touch on that, but another incentive is, at the end of the day, like we said earlier, you can choose your lot. So sometimes they have premium lots, and sometimes you do have to pay the premium price, but if you catch them on a good weekend, you might get a good deal. You can choose the community. So even if you like the builder and the floor plan in one community, but you don't like that particular area or location, then you can go and pick a different community with the same builder. So like I said, sometimes you can pick the finishes, and as of course you can pick the size. So if you like the builder, you don't have to just be, oh, this is just the size. Like, they have options for you. And then looping back to the whole inspection thing, so covering drawbacks now, like you mentioned earlier, sometimes it is a cookie cutter home. So most homes might look like yours. Like, I have a cookie cutter home. There's a couple of homes on my block that look like mine, but they come in different sizes, different lots, so it's okay.
Different elevations.
And again, if your first time home buyer, is not your forever home, so it's just a great starter. You should do research on the builder, because I cannot tell you, we cannot tell you who we think is a great builder. I can only work with the sales agents that I think are great, which is another plus to having your own agent. We have the connections. We can get you in there. We can get you, first come, first serve type of ordeal. But again, do your research. You have to do that. Otherwise, you might buy from a builder that you end up not liking, or reputable. Again, we can't tell you who to buy from, but we suggest doing your research. And then
that's called buyer due diligence.
Again, wrapped up something I mentioned in the last video. Another thing that is a drawback is that you can face some building delays. So if you are starting from scratch, they might give you a timeline, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. Like, if you're buying a resale, you have a set close date, you close on that date. Of course, lending and pushbacks, but you don't ever run into builder delays. So that is something to be aware of, especially if you are in the lease and something happens. I had a situation where a client, and this is crazy, the day before we were closing, one of their pipes busted, and it was in the resale home. It was getting fixed, which is the crazy thing, and they were in a lease. But anyways, we got to work it out. The builder was able to fix it and remedy it, which is a nice thing because they get that done. And so that pretty much covers new builds, new construction, wherever you are. That's pretty much the pros and cons. What about resales? What are the pros and cons to that? There's not as much, but it's definitely something you should, you know, take in consideration if you are a new build, you know, first time home buyer, even a repeat home buyer. You still should know, and you never bought a new build. So basically with resale homes, you have more options. Less cookie cutter, more options, flexible pricing. Even though with new builds you can sometimes negotiate with sometimes the builder, most of them are set in stone on their price.
Resales you can negotiate at least. And another thing with resale, you know, you might find a resale that has been customized versus a cookie cutter home, and you know, they might have added a bathroom and you might want that extra bathroom, but there are a lot of pros and cons.
Another thing with resale pros is that you have bigger lot and no lot premium. So you have a little bit more flexibility when it comes to backyard. A lot of people do complain about new builds being built on smaller lots, which is true. We've noticed it. We've run into the issue when we have clients wanting big yards, but they want a new build. So you do have bigger lots, and like I said, no lot premium. So those flexible options again with buying a resale. And then you get an older home that's more established. You know it has good bones. You will still do an inspection because almost like, you know, my mom said, any home you buy, you need to do an inspection. And I told you guys that in the last videos. It should not be an option. It should just be something you just do.
And make sure you do your own inspection. Don't use anybody else's.
And sometimes you might find bigger homes at the same price as new builds, which in my opinion, and that's something I experienced when buying a home, was I wanted a new build, but the price did not match the size. And then when we looked at resale, I was like, I can get a bigger home for a little bit less. So you, like, again, you have that flexible pricing and, you know, more options when it comes to sizes. And then it also may already come with appliances. One thing we didn't mention with new builds is you have to kind of negotiate. If it's not it already mostly comes with the stove, microwave, and dishwasher. But as far as washer, dryer, and refrigerator, you kind of have to negotiate those in. And sometimes it's not even a negotiation, it just gets wrapped up into your loan, so you're financing it. But with a resale, most people at least will leave their refrigerator. At least. Some people will leave their washer and dryer, but most of the time you see the refrigerator being left if it's not brand new. I agree. One thing on the pros with purchasing a resale home that I found, at least you'll be able to know if you're not buying from an investor. So if you purchase from someone that's already lived there, you know, they know 9 times out of 10 you probably know that they're going to take care of their home better than an investor, because if an investor is doing it, then it's like they just throw stuff in. It may not work when you get in there, may find things, but at least you know if you buy a home from an actual person that has lived in their home and has loved their home, you'll be able to tell, especially from that home inspection. Yeah, so that's one of the pros and cons of buying a resale, because if you buy from an investor, that could be a con. So that's pretty much the pros. There's not many drawbacks to buying. I guess one thing would be is no incentives. So you do kind of have to work with the listing agent and try to get the sellers to pay your concessions if you need it. If not, then I wouldn't ask for it up front, because then you could ask for repairs and they may credit you, or they may go ahead and fix those repairs. Usually if you're asking for concessions and repairs, sometimes it just doesn't work. Especially if you try to lowball in the beginning. Exactly. That's a whole nother conversation. But for me, for cons in a resale would be the drawback. And another drawback is you're not probably going to get that buy down rate unless, you know, the seller does give you some concessions, and then you can take those concessions and buy down your rate, you know. So you can't. That's something you negotiate. I mean, negotiate it, but you know, and that's kind of where the market is going. It's where it's allowing people to negotiate. Buyers have more negotiation power now than they did at least back in 21. Exactly. So you do have that. If the seller wants to sell, then basically with resales, you don't really have a lot of cons, but besides, like, if you're buying a home, you're not going to get that pristine look. You might need to repaint. You might need to do some cosmetic repairs, some countertops, flooring, which is something, again, you can kind of negotiate with when you're asking, you know, for seller concessions and all that good stuff. And then you just can't really choose much. You're kind of buying a house. At least cosmetically, you're buying it
Yep.
the way it is. But as far as inspection goes, you're definitely doing your own inspection.
Yep.
If the home has been sitting on the market at least
There you
longer
go.
than 30 days, you do have a little bit of wiggle room
you
when
do.
asking for maybe a lower price or concessions or you know, the repairs as of right now in this market.
Yep.
I mean, not saying it's a buyer's market, but it's definitely, you know, buyers have more power.
Yeah.
At least here in Arizona. We cannot speak for
Other
other states, and that's something I told you guys in my last video, was that I'm not speaking nationally, I'm speaking for Arizona. Because that's all I know.
Right. That is a good point on, you know, with that. So I agree.
Yeah, so I mean, basically that pretty much covers it. So this is something that you should think about when you are buying. You know, if it is your first home, it's definitely something you should weigh. But even if it's a resale, it's something you should weigh, because even on the sale side, you need to understand that maybe I do need to, you know, spruce up my home a little bit to get it sold, so it's not sitting on the market and I can get what I want for it.
Yeah.
It's something to take into consideration. And like I said, you just gotta see what works for you, what fits your needs immediately, what fits your wants, if this is just a want. But most people are buying for their changing lives and their family size and all those good things. So
Not wanting to rent.
yeah,
you
especially in financial situations, that's why we sat down to help you weigh that out, because sometimes buying a new build is just better, especially if you're having trouble getting sellers, because some sellers don't want to pay. They don't care if their house has been on the market for 60 days. They just don't want to pay concession.
They don't. They're
Or they
stuck
might
in their,
not be able to.
Yeah, and look at your listing.
Yeah, if you have a listing that's
listing
at a tight listing that just cannot budge, they might not be able to
Because
have any wiggle room for
some
that.
sellers are under certain situations where they may not have owned that home long enough to gain some equity to even be able to help the next person, you know, the buyer that's going to purchase their home, and they're just not able to help. But you know, you do run into situations like that, but at least, you know, if you're purchasing a new build, you know that you do have a little bit better options, you know, with today's market, especially with the interest rates.
That's another plus too, because it costs a lot to buy down your interest rate. So even if you did get concession, you know, and sometimes you can pre-qualify for more home if you buy a new build.
Good point.
Because they already bought the
interest rate down,
versus you already being pre-qualified at market rate, but then still having to buy that rate.
Exactly. So yeah, that is a good point. And some people have gone that route. Like I had a client that did that, and they thought that they could get X amount of dollars, but then when they went with a new build instead of the resale, they were able to buy a brand new home, more bedrooms, bigger lot, even the package that they bought came with granite and all of that good stuff. So yeah, so do your homework on it.
Yep. So if you guys have any questions, our contact information will be linked below. We'll put our emails down there. If you do decide to reach out, remember, please send your first and last name and your phone number so we know how to contact you, because when we're busy, emailing is just not something that's just easy to do, but we will get back to you. And you'll also see our emails right here on the screen. Right, so we appreciate you guys watching, and keep looking out for these videos. They're gonna come out weekly on this playlist with both of us. And
lots of information.
We will have each other's channels linked in the description box, so don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and we will see you next time.
Bye.